Hi everyone and welcome to today's video. Today I want to talk about my self-instigated thing called 3 Pen September. We're a little over halfway through September now, it's the 21st I think, and so 3 weeks in, and my goal was to only have 3 pens inked at a time. Up until now I've always had sort of a minimum of 6 and up to 20 to 25 pens inked at a time, and what I've found is that I'm washing a lot of ink down the sink, and that I don't agree with that from a number of point of views, but what I found sort of in a way to be a little bit sort of distressing was that I wasn't getting to enjoy the inks and the pens. I'd get to a point where I had so many pens inked and I just went, okay, I'm going to start fresh, and I'd wash them all out and, you know, start with another 3 or 4, and then gradually over time it would cascade, and you get a new pen, you ink it, or you get a new ink, you put it in a pen, you want to use a particular ink or a particular pen, and away you go, and suddenly you do have 20 pens inked. And that's absolutely fine if you're using them all the time and if you don't have that obsessive need to clean them out, you know, to sort of, you know, start fresh. So I wasn't enjoying the inks and getting to know the inks as well as I'd like. I also wasn't getting to use the pens as much as I like, because when you've got 25 pens laid out in front of you and you need to use one, you're always using different pens, or using the same one and the rest just sit there being wasted. Whereas if you've got 3 pens inked, and each with a specific use in mind, well, not necessarily specific use, but a use in mind, then you find you're using them more and more, and that's been a really enjoyable thing for me this month. Across the month I think I've had about 7 pens inked in total. I have at one point gone through a converter in a day. It took me almost a week and a half to go through the TWSBI Eco. I do write a lot. I take a lot of notes during the day. I take a lot of notes in rehearsals. I do a lot of long form journaling, different sorts of short form journaling, like the Some Lines a Day book. Watch out for the video on Some Lines a Day. I think that'll be coming up probably next month. So yeah, I think I've found that this 3 pen system has actually been really helpful for me to enjoy the inks and enjoy the pens. I used Monteverde Sapphire for a few days until I ran that cartridge converter dry, and that was a beautiful ink. I'm still not entirely sure if I want the DC Super Show Blue from Monteverde or if I'm going to get a bottle of Sapphire. I think I've got a couple of inks. I like a blue as opposed to a purpley blue, and I think Sapphire is just a little bit sort of purple, so I'm going to see what the DC one's like once I can get my hands on some of that. So yeah, I also got to use a pen that I haven't used in a long time that I've been wanting to, which is the Retro 51 Tornado Lincoln version, which is a really lovely pen, and I used it for a couple of days, a couple of times earlier in the year, and it sort of sat there, and so I used this a converter full of this of Ancient Copper. And this is a really wet pen, so this particular one at least, so it just burnt through the converter in no time. I think you know, sort of probably 12 to 15 pages of writing and it was gone, so it was pretty great. But nice to use it, nice to sort of have the pen in rotation for a few days. So yeah, at the moment I have 3 pens inked, and I'm going to show you them, and I'm going to show you just do a quick writing sample with them, with the inks that I've got in them. Just if you're interested, that'll be the end of this video. But yeah, 3 Pen September has been really great. It's not something I'm going to continue with, but I'm going to continue keeping my pen numbers down and running them dry. So the little system I have is I have 1 pen for my bullet journal, which at this point is still the Wingsung 3003. It's a reliable pen, it writes really fine, and I keep it inked with Noodler's Heart of Darkness. But this pen, at the cost, if it goes missing or if it gets broken or whatever, I'm not too concerned. But it writes well and it's reliable. So I have that. I have a pen that I carry around in my pocket in a little leather sleeve, and that's the Lamy 2000. This is actually I re-topped this up because I've just loved the pairing of Lamy Dark Lilac with this pen so much. Once again, this is quite wet, so it uses a lot of ink, and I love that. And then the third pen is what I'm doing like my journaling with. So that was the Retro 51 at one point. I can't remember what pen I had the Sapphire in off the top of my head. But yeah, this is the pen that I do my journaling with, and then I'm doing sort of a lot of sort of other note taking with. And at the moment, that's an Lamy Ion. It's just freshly inked today with Pilot Orochizuku Kujaku, which I just adore that ink. It's beautiful and it performs so well, and it's nice that it's not like a straight up green or a straight up blue. It's sort of got these nice sort of turquoisey tones to it, which are really nice, tealy almost. So the other pens that I've ever had inked, other than outside of 3 Pen September, are pens that I'm reviewing or pens that are inked with ink that I'm reviewing. So I've had a few of those, of course. Pens that I've reviewed recently have included this month have included like the Oto Dude, which will be coming out within the next week. I can't remember exactly when it is. And then I had a couple of inks like the Jacobin Amazon Green, which is the new one, and Robert Oster Avocado. So these were all inked in pens and stuff that were outside of 3 Pen September, and that's something that I'm doing because they're outside of my normal writing practice, and the things that people have either asked me to review or that I've been wanting to review for a while. So that will continue as well. So basically, if I can keep to 3 or 4 inked pens at a time, and maybe 5 at most, but run them dry. I think that's the key for me, is to use the pens and use the ink so that I actually enjoy them and yeah, get to know them and enjoy using them. So yeah, I'll do a quick writing sample now, but if there's something like 3 Pen September that you're interested in, or a way that you keep your pen use alive and enjoying your pens, let me know. I'd love to hear from you about that. As I said, I probably won't continue with 3 Pen September, but I'm thinking probably early in the year, either January or February, doing another really, another sort of project where I use maybe a certain number of inks only for the month, and really get to know them and try and make them inks that I don't know or that I haven't used terribly much, as opposed to always the same sort of favourite inks. I have a handful of inks that I go to all the time, things like Robert Oster Tranquility, Aurora Black, Lamy Dark Lilac, unfortunately, is one that I tend to go to a lot, but eventually, of course, that'll have to stop. Detrimentus Giuseppe Verdi is another one. I'm just looking at I've got my ink shelf over here. The Mont Blanc Beetles Purple I use a lot. Of course, things like Waterman Serenity Blue I use for reviews and occasionally, and it's going to be my standardised pen review ink from now on. But there's a lot of these sort of inks that I use a lot, really regularly. Diamine Oxford Blue, Diamine Syra, yeah, there's a number of them. So using inks outside of those ones and really getting to know them for better or worse. So yeah, I'll be looking at doing that probably in January or February, depending on when the fancy strikes me. So yeah, this has been my little video about 3 Pen September and what I've been up to. Do a quick writing sample with these pens, and I'll see you soon. Okay, here's the quick writing sample. I've got some Rhodia paper here. We'll start with the Wingtone 3003, which has been in a few of my videos recently. You can see there's a bit of ink in the cap and all of that. This one travels in my bag all the time, attached to my traveler's notebook, which is my bullet journal system as well. So yeah, it does get sort of thrown around a bit, and another reason for using a pen like this as opposed to something sort of more harder to replace, if you will. It's got a nice extra fine nib on it, and it's inked with Noodler's Heart of Darkness, which looks a little something like this. It's a black. It's one of the reasons I really appreciate this ink, because it is quite dark, and in a fine nib it does write dark, and I like it to sort of stand out against the page that I'm sort of writing on. So this is the Wingtone 3003, is an extra fine, and these are just a really basic, very inexpensive Chinese fountain pen, like $2 Australian, and crazily reliable. I got one of these for a friend who was interested in fountain pens, and they use it every day at work, and swear by it. It's just a really nice, very, very simple basic pen, but super reliable. Next, we'll do the Lamy 2000 here, which needs no introduction. In fact, I've got a video coming out about this in a couple of weeks, which isn't a review, but more an overview. So if you're interested in getting an in-depth review of this pen from me, let me know and I'll see what I can do. But this is inked with Lamy Dark Lilac. Look at it, it's one of those things that has a beautiful sheen on it, and I like the sheen on this ink. I'm not a big sheen fan, but I do like this one. I think it's beautiful. And a really, really lovely rich dark purple. This is in the Lamy 2000, which is a medium, and it's a Lamy Dark Lilac. Now, even though this isn't a particularly cheap pen, it's a pen that I feel comfortable carrying around with me because it doesn't look fancy. It looks like a normal sort of everyday pen. In fact, I've given this pen to someone to write with once, and they were shocked when they didn't see the ball on the end that it's a fountain pen. So it is a pen that I do carry around in my pocket, and it's super reliable. It's like one of the things I love about this pen is just sort of how wet it is, how smooth it is. Yeah, but it's just super reliable, super great pen, and while not a cheap pen by any stretch, one of the pens I feel is really worth the money. And then the last pen today is the Lamy Ion. I've got a bit of Lamy going on actually, don't I? This is new, I think, last year, and it's quite similar. Like, people sort of were saying it's similar to the Lamy 2000, but when you see them alongside each other, you can see that they are quite different pens. You know, yes, they're black with the silver clip, but the shape is different enough, and the writing experience is, I think, quite different. Different filling systems, different materials, all that sort of stuff. The Lamy Ion, it's quite a heavy pen, so I've been using this for my longer writing sessions. It feels nice in the hand. Yeah, it's got good weight, and the weight's all sort of led down towards the nib, unless you post it when it becomes slightly, the balance shifts. But without the pen posted, it's plenty big enough. Unposted, it's a huge pen, really. It fits nicely in the hand. This is the Lamy Ion. So this is a broad. This one is inked with Pilot Aro Shizuku Kujaku, and my poor little card got some water on it, but it's just such a beautiful sort of tealy turquoise ink. I love it, I really do. I think it's a beautiful ink. One of my absolute favourite inks of all time, I think. So this pen will probably be one of the last pens I ink this month. I can't imagine actually needing to use too many more. I might run this one dry, but yeah, it's been nice to sort of be using these pens a bit more, and actually getting to know them and getting to love them, and remembering why, particularly the Lamy 2000, why I love that pen so much. So yeah, this has been 3 Pen September. I hope you found this video useful. If you did, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel. Hit the notifications button to stay up to date and all that sort of stuff. Contact me via any of the platforms listed below, my email or on Instagram, which I am at @the_offstage_me. That's if you've got any questions or any comments you'd like to share, or if there's products you think I should be looking at, inks, pens, paper, pencils, any of that stuff. I'm addicted to all of it, just like all you are. So yeah. Thanks for watching, and enjoy your pens, enjoy writing, and I'll talk to you later.